My name's Fred Vultee. I'm an associate professor of journalism in the Department of Communication, and before I became a late life graduate student, I was a newspaper editor for about 25 years. And that affects a lot of what I teach and a lot of the things that I study during the course of my research life. When I teach undergraduates, I usually teach a course in news editing. That's the kind of journalism that we do when all the writers have gone home. It's the people who are in charge of making sure that things fit, making sure that everything is spelled right, all the headlines and titles and captions go with all the right stories and pictures. It's the kind of class you'll probably really enjoy if you won a lot of spelling bees and enjoyed your civics classes a lot. It's a really good look at the nuts and bolts parts of journalism, the parts where we really make the product come out. We try to keep it professional, we try to keep it informal, but inside of that we try to make sure that it moves fast and we learn how to put stuff out at the pace that you'll encounter in the professional world. The journalists that we send out, we hope, are really technically skilled, good at the things that they like to do, good listeners, good questioners, really good spellers, I hope, but also people who can think more deeply about where journalism fits in a democracy and in a political process, and that they can bring some new insights into that maybe we haven't thought of yet. The internships are really one of the things that we take a lot of pride in and we put a lot of emphasis on. Journalism and PR have both been very feet-on-the-ground programs here. Our longtime faculty have a lot of very deep connections with the professional community, and they're very good at placing students in relevant internships and making sure that students get a lot out of that kind of professional experience. And that's the sort of thing that employers often tell us about the first thing, is students who've been there, who've been through the actual working world procedures and can really start contributing from the first day are the kinds of folks that they like to have. And we'd like to be sure our students are learning the things that people will ask about when they go out on job interviews. So those have been very rewarding. It's especially good to hear students coming back from a good summer or from a good fall internship with that air of confidence that they have. When they can walk in and talk about the things that they did, it's really like talking to another professional rather than to a student, and that really shows when they're out on the job market. The other things that I teach at the graduate level often include things like research methods. I'm teaching a course in content analysis right now. That's a procedure where we tend to look at almost any artifact of human communication and see what kind of conclusions we can draw by measuring it and looking at the way it works and some of the things that it coincides with in the real world. Graduate advising is a really different level in some ways from undergraduate advising. You work with students who have different interests, who aren't necessarily interested in going right out and finding a job where they'll show up at 9 o'clock the next morning, but oftentimes people who want to go into this line of work, into teaching and studying, and even into making the things that you study walk into the classroom so that you can teach them the next day. And that involves watching people develop their interests, giving them some guidance in theory, helping them find a method that they like to work with and that they're comfortable working with and that they'd like to teach themselves, and then letting them turn up ideas and develop their own ideas and run off with them. So the chance to take students to a conference in a way like that, where they can interact with other professionals, defend their ideas, defend the kind of conclusions that they've drawn, gives them really good practice in moving out into the academic job trail. And we're really happy to see these folks in a few years, the kind of relationships they're forming, and the sorts of ideas that they're passing along to other students. That really gives us a lot of confidence in the kind of things that we can do here. Makes that process a lot more fun.